Absolutely, we are really in a state of crisis.
The most brutally violent terror group in modern history.
This is an organization that has an apocalyptic end-of-days strategic vision.
It is now our generation's task to carry on.
An 8.5 magnitude earthquake has struck a
Our journey is not complete until our gay brothers and sisters are treated like anyone else under the law.
For the second time in less than 3 weeks, Nepal has been rocked by another major earthquake.
Geologists say there's been more seismic activity over the last 7 months than over the last 4 decades. It's the frequency of these shocks that has the public as well as scientists puzzled.
911, what's the address of the emergency? Yeah, there's a baby in our garbage can.
This is 2015 when women are ruling the world.
And so much crime going on that they really can't control it. So have we lost our moral compass, or are we just more aware of it now?
Let me ask you something. Are your parents okay with you being here? My parents. My parents.
This is modern-day Babylon.
Good evening, godless sodomites.
Never before in the history of this country have so many corrupting influences descended upon children at one time.
Kneel before your God, Babylon!
There's been a lot of buzz over the last few weeks about strange sounds being heard in the atmosphere.
And we start with some breaking news this hour. People in the Urals in Russia have seen burning objects raining down from the sky after a meteorite exploded above Earth.
A terrible mystery gripping the world right now. Birds, fish, and all kinds of creatures just dropping dead in huge numbers for what seems like no reason.
It's the latest in a series of unexplained sudden death incidents. The events have sparked a media frenzy, with doomsday speculators saying it hails the end of the world.
165 tornadoes in 24 hours.
Now 11 earthquakes in just the last 24 hours. And of course, the new concern over what's causing this. Could this be the start of something bigger?
Experiencing one of the worst floods in the past 70 years. The flooding has reached biblical proportions.
A massive tornado, at least 2 miles wide.
Scientists were baffled
tonight with breaking news.
The death toll is about to rise.
So there's a lot of changes, geological and seismic changes that are going on.
Increase of earthquakes. According to the United States and geological surveys, the rate of earthquakes and the frequency of earthquakes has increased, and found the current trend was out of the ordinary.
You see this is happening in multiple areas. What's going on? An increase in earthquakes.
Scientists.
This is something that we're seeing around the world. An earthquake that's so massive.
And as technology has revolutionized our ability to communicate with each other, it's also allowed us to celebrate ourselves through boastful tweets, humble brags, status updates, and photos.
Narcissistic traits have been rising at the same rate as obesity.
It's about you.
We're breeding a selfie nation. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram may all be contributing to a generation of self-absorbed, self-promoting, self-involved oversharers.
It's about you.
What does that say about us?
Look at me. Look at me.
Selfie obsession is now reaching new heights.
Based on their observations, the members of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists Science and Security Board find conditions in the world to be so threatening that they are moving the hands of the doomsday clock 2 minutes closer to midnight. It is now 3 minutes to midnight. Today, unchecked climate change and a nuclear arms race pose extraordinary and undeniable threats to the continued existence of humanity. And world leaders have failed to act with the speed or on the scale required to protect citizens from potential catastrophe.
What's happening on planet Earth is definitely not business as usual.
To questions about whether this is all a sign of the apocalypse. America is a different country than it was 11 hours ago. A landmark ruling from a sharply divided U.S. Supreme Court, clearing the way for same-sex marriage in all 50 states.
It is being seen as a landmark moment in American social history.
June 26, 2015, this has come with explosive speed.
We are finally allowed to marry anywhere in the country, and so I'm a little like, I got the Holy Ghost.
A historic moment in the United States as same-sex marriage and marriage equality is now the law of the land.
This ruling will strengthen all of our communities.
Marriage equality is the law of the land in the United States of America.
God is speaking to us through these events. Something big, something apocalyptic is happening.
All over the planet, fish, birds, and other animals are dying en masse.
A study published in the journal Science Advances claims that mammals, birds, reptiles, and even fish are dying out at rates more than 100 times faster than normal. And now scientists are warning we have entered a sixth period, meaning that extinctions that would usually take thousands of years to occur now take little more than a decade. Scientists are warning the window of opportunity is rapidly closing. Almost half of the world's population of saiga antelope died this month, and no one is sure why.
In the last 10 days, more than a third of the whole world population of this species has died.
It's the largest die-off event of the saiga antelope on record. Scientists don't know what caused the death.
The steppe is littered with carcasses of mothers and calves.
How did 20 large dead sea whales wash up onto shores near the Golfo de Penas on Chile's southern coast? The 10-meter-long whales were found more than 1,000 miles south of the capital, Santiago.
Scientists say it's a mystery they're determined to solve.
Investigations continue into what caused these whales, considered an endangered species, to die.
Dead fish. Tens of thousands of them have washed up on Long Island.
Thousands of dead bunker fish in one of the most unusual die-offs in recent memory. The bunker fish, also known as menhaden, appeared wall-to-wall along the shoreline. Last week, turtles died in the same area.
Southern California beaches look a little strange these days. They're painted in red. Thousands of tiny red tuna crabs are dotting the shores from Huntington Beach to San Clemente. And the fact that they're taking over Southern California beaches is very bizarre. Authorities say this is the first time in 34 years that people in Huntington Beach have seen them in the area.
So this is an age characterized by increasing, escalating natural disasters, great earthquakes, various plagues, famines, terrors, firestorms and tsunamis and tidal waves and hurricanes, tornadoes, etc., etc., etc. Disaster is to be expected. Jesus said this was how it would be, and this is exactly how it is. This is life in our world until he comes. And it's not getting better, it is getting worse. When they begin, they are the beginning of birth pains.
Flash flooding in the Georgian capital Tbilisi is said to have killed at least 8 people and swamped the city's zoo, killing many animals and allowing others to escape. The authorities have advised residents to stay indoors.
Deadly zoo animals were left prowling city streets after flooding damaged their cages, setting them free. Tigers, lions, bears, wolves, hippopotamus were among the animals that escaped.
Half of the park's 600 animals are missing. Officials urging residents to stay indoors.
Tiger that escaped the zoo has killed a man.
Rescue workers are combing submerged houses to check for trapped residents. Tbilisi's mayor described the situation as unprecedented.
The city reeling, suffering from what some are calling the worst natural disaster in this capital in recent memory.
So these things at their maximum level will occur in the time known as the time of tribulation.
This morning, neighbors woke up to piles and piles, some as much as 4 feet drifts, they said. It's just incredible.
Irving in Alaska woke up to enough hail that they had to go out and shovel. There was hail everywhere. By far the heaviest concentration was in the 2 blocks. The strangest thing, right?
This is not January, it's June.
Yeah, that is so weird.
No sign of abating. Large parts of China are seeing continuous rainfall. Over 22 million people have been hit by flooding.
More than 16,000 pigs were killed by continuous rainstorms that occurred in southwest China's Guangxi Autonomous Region. Most of the pigs that died were piglets and sows.
A heat wave in southern Pakistan has now killed more than 1,100 people, even as temperatures ease.
Thousands of people have fallen ill. Hospitals and clinics are still struggling with a rush of patients, while morgues have run out of room for bodies. The heat wave has coincided with the Muslim holy month of Ramadan.
And the death toll is expected to rise.
Parts of India's northwest is underwater after days of heavy rain.
The floods caused by continuous rain have killed at least 70 people.
The country was hit by what some say is the worst flooding in 90 years.
Flash floods have brought Sochi to a standstill. At least one person was killed as torrential rain submerged the Russian city.
And in Matthew 24, we are reminded that there will be a time that is worse than any time in the history of the world.
Temperatures across Europe broke records with a high expected to reach 104 degrees Fahrenheit in some cities. Meteorologists in Spain have placed parts of the region under yellow alert. Heat waves are becoming more frequent and intense as a result of climate change, according to the United Nations.
A cold front charging up Australia's east coast is so powerful not even Queensland will escape its chill. The plummeting mercury has people from Tasmania to Brisbane bracing for some of the coldest weather in decades.
It's been dubbed the Snow-nami, an icy cold front powering its way up from Antarctica. And as the mercury plummeted yesterday, the snow piled up. The mercury expected to dip close to zero.
It's a record that Romanians aren't interested in breaking. Temperatures in parts of the country are close to the highest ever recorded. Ambulances have been called more than 200 times in a 48-hour period. Temperatures in Bucharest are expected to climb again.
Thousands of holidaymakers are stranded as a volcanic ash cloud continues to shut down flights to and from Indonesia. Airports have been closed.
The volcano had been dormant for more than 400 years. It's likely thousands more will have to evacuate.
There are warnings with what officials say may be the most dangerous eruption in decades in Mexico. A volcano has been blasting lava and ash into the air, blotting out the sky.
More people have been evacuated from the area as fears grow the eruption could become the biggest in a century.
The first warning of a monster earthquake off America's coast, the worst natural disaster in the history of the nation, is coming, say the scientists. The federal government estimates 13,000 Americans will die in a major earthquake and tsunami in the Pacific Northwest. It's not a question of whether, but when. This earthquake is coming, and it's overdue. Seismologists say that the quake that will strike on our Pacific Northwest coastline should be up to a 9.2. It will unleash not only a colossal earthquake, but also that tsunami. A wall of water, 700 miles long, and in some places up to a 100-foot high tsunami will slam into the Pacific Northwest. Thousands and thousands will not escape. FEMA calculations indicate the disaster will damage or destroy about 1 million buildings. Our operating assumption is that everything west of Interstate 5 will be toast. It is coming. It is a certainty. The question is when.
The Cascadia Fault is an earthquake waiting to happen. We know it's going to happen with an energy 30 times the maximum energy of the San Andreas Fault.
This wave could come in at 500 miles per hour. How does 70,000 people evacuate in 10 minutes?